Alright, we're back. Oh gosh, I forgot. I'm a Technicolor Dreamboat. Let's see, before we go too far, let's not forget, I need 1 dash rune. I can lose out on the finances just a little bit, but yeah, 1 dash is all I need. And all these runes are too expensive. I'm going to assume most of the equipment is too expensive. No. So these don't go up in price. Do I even care? Hard for me to. Because most of these are too expensive. I guess I'll get the Sage Cape. We won't wear it, but I'll have it at the very least. Okay. Wander, do you plan on playing the new Fallout 76 expansion adds NPCs? I had it on polls for a couple of days, but it was always bottom of the list. So, mixed feelings. I probably should. Just because, like, that was one of my old bread and butters, but, like, playing Fallout 76 was just kind of depressing the last couple times. Like, I guess it's kind of one of those where it's like, I like to stay away from games that people expressly hate or like to hate on, because that kind of negativity is pervasive, and it's difficult for me to want to play more of it. If that makes sense. Not neither of those guys. Okay. Well, do we want to get up in here? Wow. We apparently do a lot of damage with that. Okay. Let's see. Gonna wreck that. Let's see, how have you been forever since I saw a stream? I'm watching your YouTube a lot lately while I work. Well, welcome back, at least for now. Hopefully work has been at least relatively safe. Yeah, I'll go with safe. Oh, I'm probably critting with my spells. That's what's going on here. I know how that works. Okay. Guess I might as well just drop attack the cannon there. Okay. Let's see. Figure this out. Got it. But yeah, hopefully things have been safe. I don't know. I always get a little worried nowadays when I hear people still talking about like going to work and stuff, and I'm just like, I hope you're taking proper precautions, or it's, you know, work from home kind of stuff. That's you absolutely have to go in, at which point, yeesh. I don't know. My parents live in a hotspot area, and I'm always a little worried. And so I'm like, I guess I'm extra focused on like whether or not, you know, other people are safe, because like I will probably be somewhat mentally prepared for when my parents finally pass on and so on and so forth, but like I don't want to think about that, and I definitely don't want it to be a result of, you know, some dillhole not washing their hands. Let's see. Okay, so I have to do 30 push-ups and ring fit later today. Well, you know what? As far as things go, today being ring fit day is not the worst thing. I've been feeling... Oh, 60 push-ups. Did we get 2? Well, alright. I'll do some push-ups in a little bit. Here. Oh, you claimed push-ups twice. Cripes, you guys have been saving up. How about this? I'm gonna do push-ups every time I die. And if I don't die, I'll just fit the push-ups in between games. Let's see. Because that might not honestly be a bad idea. Let's hope that once this is all over, work at home has been normalized. I absolutely hope that's going to be the case. I realize that it's not always the most efficient system, but from my perspective, I've been working from home for years now, and I am the most productive I have ever been. Save for maybe, like, during finals week in college, and even then, I was productive, I just wasn't actually very good at my job. And admittedly today, bad case in the Monday is I didn't get as much done as I wanted. But, like, I haven't heard as many people driving around. We had to go get groceries Actually, yeah, there were a decent number of people. But, like, I've been reading about the beneficial effects of not having humanity driving around daily nowadays. And I just keep seeing more information about, like, yeah, wouldn't it be great if everybody just mostly worked from home if, you know, their job allowed for it. You know, fresh air. We've been hearing a lot more birds, which has been, I mean, I don't think that the birds are necessarily, like, thriving any more than they would normally. Maybe they are, who knows? But, like, why do people need to drive into, you know, their workplace if they're just going to be on a computer there? Maybe there's a couple of jobs where you really do need that, like, oversight going on, but from my experience, like, I only worked 2 office jobs, both of which were in very cramped locations. No, the game studio I worked at, it was actually fairly open concept, which was nice, except for the fact that, like, anybody that walked past could see what you were up to, and so, like, there were a couple of times where I was just, like, doing brainless work, like, absolute minimum effort garbage. And so I just put on cartoons on my side monitor just to give me something to, like, stimulate me, because I was fixing animations and running through a program called Flump over and over and over again, and it was miserable. I could have done it. Well, I mean, I could have watched like 3-4 movies in this period of time, but because of the perception that I was at work, I had to be 100% engaged in what I was doing, which was soul-crushing, because it took weeks to finish this project. And, you know, the idea of doing it from home on my own terms, and not like, you know, still having the task and a due date, but, you know, not having somebody walk by and be like, "Why are you watching Batman Brave and the Bold?" And I'm like, "Do you not see all of the work I've gotten done? I am more productive because I have Batman here to keep me company when everything else blows." And, you know, after that moment, I was always kind of conscientious, not of, like, what I was doing, but what was perceived, what other people perceived me as doing, which I don't think was actually productive. It was just stressful. And obviously, like, that doesn't fly with a lot of people, but, like, I've heard a decent amount of stories of people doing this, you know, just kind of hanging out and watching something while they work, and actually doing a fine job of it. I don't know. Batman's The Brave and the Bold is an amazing show. I liked it. I wish it had been more organized, because it was nice to watch a Batman series that was kind of lighthearted, but it was also kind of one of those where, like, all of the episodes were kind of disconnected from each other, and it felt odd. But Batman's made by a competitor. You can watch cartoons, gotta watch SpongeBob. You know, sad thing is, I probably could have. Actually, no, I did, because the server we had access to had every SpongeBob episode to date, plus, I think, maybe some that, like, hadn't been released, or, like, hadn't been released yet. I'm not entirely sure what the dealio was. But there absolutely was this, like, massive amount of available SpongeBob episodes that we could watch. Same thing with Power Rangers and a number of things. I don't like SpongeBob. Speaking of SpongeBob, Battle for Bikini Bottom is getting remastered. Ugh, I won't be playing that. I mean, maybe if they sent me a key, but even then. Like, that's very much in the, like, I would do, like, an episode of this, laugh about it for a while, and then be like, okay, I'm not actually going to play this, though. Kind of had that conversation earlier today about a game called Sakura Wars. They are coming out with a new version? A new one. And at first I thought, oh, you know, maybe I'll give it a go. I know it's like one of those JRPGs that have been like, around forever that people really like. Why am I here? No, right. We're a lich. We actually want to gather as much strength as we can before venturing forth. Because the more I fight, the stronger I get. Ow. Definitely need to invest in some more armor, though. Yeah, I didn't grow up with SpongeBob, so I lack the requisite nostalgia to really enjoy it, but still. Anywho, so... yeah, I was looking at Sakura Wars, being like, yeah, maybe I'll play that. And a number of people on Discord were kind of like, yeah, hey, Wander, have you seen the, like, new trailers for it? And I'm like, okay, maybe I'll take a look. Because I am a massive weeb. Thing is, I'm a massive weeb, but I absolutely hate fan service, which honestly does not lend itself well to being a massive weeb. From my perspective, most anime is just kind of gross, which sucks, because, like, the stuff that isn't gross, I will play to death. What is the point of this room? There's just a bunch of things locked in here that can't do anything to me. But, like, I get it. Fan service sells, and developers need to, yeah, I can't do anything with that. Fan service sells, and developers need all the money they can get. But it's just so hard for me to respect a game that does that sort of thing. There was a game called Knights of the Azure I played a long time ago. It was a PS4 game. Hey, got it. Wow, those spike balls actually just wrecked. I'm impressed and happy. But so I picked it up on launch day thinking it might be a neat game. You know, the main character was a little buxom, but it had monster collection, so I was like, okay, cool. And it seemed to be at least, like, somewhat progressive, because the main character is very clearly, like, pining after a female romantic interest. I'm like, okay, I'll take it, I'll bite. Let's see if this is any good. I played for, like, 10, 13 episodes, at which point they did some kind of weird, creepy ritual where they put the main character in, like, this creepy nightie. And honestly, that's the moment where I just, like, totally checked out. Like, it's the kind of thing that if anybody I knew wore that around me, I'd be like, who are you trying to impress? Because I should not be your target audience. I am a taken man. And if Shell wore it, I'd be like, what the hell? I might not necessarily be disappointed, but I'd also be kind of weirded out. Because that's a little bit risque no matter what the situation you are in, unless you're specifically trying to woo somebody right then and there, as soon as possible. Because it was, oof. And it sucked a little bit, because I was actually kind of enjoying the game up until that point. It was still painfully generic and kind of cheap, but it was at least something. And then I think they came out with a sequel, and I was just like, I ain't touching that. That's too much fan service for me. Give me, oh, what's a good example? I mean, the more recent waifu emblems have been a little bit much, but at least there's, like, at least the female characters are respectable and interesting. There are only a couple that are, like, kind of overtly fan service-ish. The only real problem with Fire Emblem is their 1,000-year-old lolly dragons. Like, that sort of thing gets to me a little bit, just because it's like, that's weird. I get it, like, if that sort of thing appeals to some people, but boy, I wish that was in another game, and not, you know, the game I was playing, and wanted to enjoy. Oh gosh. What other games? Oh man. I'm sure some of you guys have heard of Conception, but that is one of those extra creepy series from what I know. But we were at a GameStop with, I think, our roommate I think it was post-college, but we'd gone to GameStop probably for the shiny Pokemon. They were doing like a promotion where you could get a shiny Pokemon with a card from GameStop. Which, yeah, I don't think that's going to ever happen again, which is kind of, let's see, what was the game Wander was originally talking about? Sakura Wars. Actually, I never really finished my thing about Sakura Wars. We'll get there. This is a long roundabout topic that honestly doesn't mean anything. I'm just talking about it because filler while grinding. But we're at a GameStop, and Shell was looking at 3DS games, I think it was? Or maybe it was DS games. Because I had a DS, and we just got 3DSs, and so she was interested in filling out her library. Oh, right. Do I want to? No, I'm just going to take damage. For whatever that chest is worth, it ain't worth it. I'm not necessarily sure if this one was worth it. Okay. Oh, there was a dwarf hole. That just sounds weird. Okay. But, yeah, so if you've never heard of Conception before, you're effectively romancing women and then using your, like, kind of weird spirit children to fight instead. And it was weird and it was creepy. But then the actual gameplay was like using the touch controls to like effectively molest them. Well, they liked it, and it's just like, cripes, no. And so even for like the Sakura Wars game that I was looking at, and being like, yeah, maybe I'll give this a go. I look up combat trailer. Okay, sure, real time. I can dig it. Relationships. Uh-oh. And then it's just like character introduction, some kind of plot stuff, and then just immediately asking whatever character on a date, and then them acting all like shy and whatever. And it's just like, oh, this is gonna be one of those that just makes me feel like women are objects again. I don't want that. It always just feels really awkward to me, and not very fun. They released Conception as an anime. Ugh. I mean, again, I'm sure it appeals to some people, but the moment I run into that kind of thing in a game, I'm just like, yeah, I'll go elsewhere, watch another thing, play another game. Oh, what other games did that? I was actually kind of disappointed in the Digimon Hackers Memory games, because they were starting to do that a little bit, with the female characters being less characters and more just kind of like props to make the main, I don't know, titillate the player pretending to shoot. I have no idea. Always weirds me the heck out. Oh, Witch in the Hundred Knight. I've definitely ranted about Witch in the Hundred Knight before. Ow. Where it's like, I love Nippon Ichi Software games, but like, if they want to get creepy, they get really creepy, and I don't like it. So they had like a sexual assault scene. And yeah, I just quit the series right then and there, because I couldn't stomach the game anymore. I'm not going to say I suffer from intrusive thoughts. I do. And so, like, if something gets stuck in my head after, like, a bad scene in a movie, or just, well, this is gonna hurt. Bad scene in a movie, awkward character moments, there's too much secondhand embarrassment or secondhand creep show, and it gets into my brain, and I can't get it out of there. So, like, yesterday, we were playing Murder by Numbers, and I was awake enough that I probably could have kept going for a little while longer, but somebody had showed up to effectively insult the game with a bunch of fairly awful slurs. And, you know, normally you're really not supposed to let these things get to you, and I try really hard to, like, you know, normally when somebody comes up to say something really pointless and shitty, I can just block it out because it's like, oh yeah, it's just an awful person. Easy thing to move on from. My problem is, it got stuck in my head and I couldn't get it out. And so I had to stop, not because I didn't want to play anymore, but because I straight up couldn't play the game because the slur was stuck in my head. And it was awful. And so obviously, yeah, the person that came by to just drop off shock commentary technically won. I hate it when people do it too, because it's just gross. It's demeaning, and it makes me sad. Because oftentimes, I don't know. I guess I have a lot of faith in people. I feel like people are inherently good, and every time somebody comes by to just, like, do that, a little bit of me dies internally. Where I'm just like, maybe... Oh, right, I can walk on spikes. Aha! Suck it, spikes. You do not matter to me. Let's see. Okay, so where are we going? I'm really trying to decide how much I want to beef up this lich before we go on to other areas. Yeah, let's go for the beefiest damn lich that ever did lich if we can. There we go. But yeah, so for like Witch and the 100 Knight, like I probably could have looked past a particularly gross scene or two, but it just made me think like somebody on the writing staff thought this was okay, and somebody on the production staff greenlit it, and I didn't like the game anymore. And I guess from my perspective, I am spoiled. I am so freaking spoiled with, like, new games every day, every week, every month, every year, that, like, the moment a game does something that, like, actually bothers me, I can usually just say, never mind, and never play it again. Well, that's... And that's not always the best policy, obviously, but, like... It is one of those where it's like, if a game truly bothers me, yeah, I can just say, move on. Never think about it again. I guess it helps. It sucks, and it's a weird feeling, because, like, I'm not used to being able to just toss things out. Let's see, was that in the first or second game? Second game. I think the first game had some bad moments, but it was easier for me to forgive. Just because it was, like, it was kind of creepy, but it wasn't like, I'm just going to mind control these two dudes and have them do terrible things to you. And I'm like, no, thank you. I don't know. You have to be very careful with that kind of plot thread. Otherwise, it just cheapens your whole game. Let's see, what are we talking about? I'm talking about Witch and the 100 Knight and how they had a sexual assault plot points early-ish on in the game, and it was just disappointing and made me just quit the game entirely. The only game I can immediately think of that handled it well-ish, and I don't even know if it was necessarily sexual assault. It was a lot of things, but psychological trauma-wise, Last of Us, I think, did a decent job of it. There's a segment in the game where there's this really creepy dude that has been, like, hounding Ellie and some other things. I don't really want to spoil it, but at the end of it, like, it's very clear that she has been traumatized by this event. And it wasn't, like, anything strictly not safe for work, but it was still... It felt artfully handled in a way that I hadn't seen in another game. And so when a game just throws it in as a, like, this is going to make the villain look evil, I'm like, yep, you succeeded. But you also just kind of made the writing staff look bad. Let's see, what about Life is Strange? I actually have never played Life is Strange. It was one of those games that, it's not that it didn't appeal to me, it's that the episodic nature was a huge turnoff. I'm not big on heavy episodic games because I don't like to wait. It's like having to wait for a sequel over and over and over again, and that sort of thing is not good. At least not from my perspective. Because, like, I don't know. I might play them someday, just kind of as a, like, hey, here's a poll, pick which is on it, and it's a bunch of older games. That's actually something I've been working on, at least a little bit, during my own time this week. Because I would like to play at least a couple of, not older games, because it's not an older game. I walked right into that one. Turkey. There we go. And now I can just run around. Okay, we can't quite one-shot these guys. We're getting there. Crits can definitely one-shot them, but still. But yeah, like a classic indie game lightning round thing. Sort of. I was actually going to call it the oldie but goodie bag. Just grab a bag, fill it with a bunch of sheets of paper that were suggested by Twitch subs, Patreons, and YouTube members. And effectively just, when I finish one, we open up the oldie but goodie bag and pull out the next, and then kind of rinse repeat. The name's stuck in my head, and I want to use it as a show. Because I figured it would be kind of fun. Main problem is just, like, I have to dedicate the time to it, and that one's always kind of tough for me. Because I always have something I should be doing, and so to say, like, I'm going to play a game that has no current market relevance is kind of tough for me. That's also a question of, like, how would it perform on YouTube or whatnot. I think it would do okay. But it's just, I don't know. I gotta sit down and do the legwork on making it work. Chances are what it would be is something... It would be something we do after we finished Half-Life Alyx and, Half-Life Alyx and Murder by Numbers and Animal Crossing. I know Animal Crossing doesn't have an end, but, like, there's a certain point where I can just say, like, yep, we're not going to play this anymore. And that'll be acceptable. I mean, I could just do that now, but there's still content in the game. We haven't seen the credits. Isn't this game kind of an example of an oldie but goodie bag? No, actually. There's two things that made this actually stand out. I actually had received a number of comments talking about the Lament of Zors. And I had no idea it was even roguelike, or like Rogue Legacy-centric, until I think it was Cryoris tied the two together. But then Rogue Legacy, Cellar Door Games released an announcement for Rogue Legacy 2. So this is at least somewhat relevant. It may not seem as such, it might seem kind of silly. But, like, I think this is actually one of my top series right now, because people are looking for Rogue Legacy. To some small degree. And no, I don't want to make my entire life and my entire channel dedicated to following market trends. That sort of thing can get a little toxic. And a little stressful. Like, I've done that. I've tried chasing trends left and right forever. And it honestly works out. But it's generally best to, like, set the trend yourself if you can. Or carve out your own niche. So I got really lucky with Never Leave Sanctuary years ago. Because people were already kind of on the downturn on Fallout. Nobody was really that interested in it. And then I just do some dumb thing. And then the Fallout DLCs start coming out. This is gonna hurt, ain't it? There we go. I gotta stop trying to jump to hit these guys, I guess. Is the real answer. Ow. Wow, that was most of my HP. Let's see, we do actually need that. Let's see. Do we switch the music up? Yeah. What is it? Valley of Torment? Voyage of Terror. There we go. I really like this song. Let's see. What is it, though? But yeah, no matter how much I want to, like, internet hipster and kind of do my own thing, there is this pervasive feeling that I do actually have to, like, whoa, hi. I do actually have to, like, keep my channel relatively relevant. I was reading a thread on Reddit the other day about major YouTubers that have kind of gone by the wayside over the last X number of years. And years ago, I was on a show. It never took off and it never went anywhere. I've definitely talked about this before. But it was like Survivor, but for gaming challenges. God, was I even talking about that when I was playing Rogue Legacy? Might have been, even. I don't think so. I think I was playing, maybe it was Satisfactory or something like that. Also, thank you, Shane the Husky, for the 95 bits. Alright, let's see. So I was on this show. And the point of the show is we split up into 2 teams. And every week we would get together, play a game, and the 2 lowest performing players would get the boot. And so we're supposed to compete in competitive games, Left 4 Dead, like Left 4 Dead versus, or what else did we do? Chivalry. I think we were going to do... Oh gosh, I don't even remember what the name was, actually. But, you know, just not basic stuff like that, but it was a neat idea. And unfortunately, what ended up happening is... I'm just going to saturate this room with a couple of spike balls. This guy can hurt. He's worth a lot of EVP. Damn! We get Retribution Helm. Hell yeah! But so, it was put on by a particularly large YouTuber at the time that had a fairly active following. And my team was filled with some big names. They had specifically pulled in 2 smaller YouTubers. Me and another guy whose name I don't even remember. I think we are friends on Steam still. I could double check if his channel is still active, but I don't think it is. Let's see. Do I want the fire thing instead? It's good, but it drains like a crazy thing. No, let's go without. There we go. Anywho, so... So, I was on a team with some fairly big YouTubers, like, some people that, I'm sure many of you have heard of before. I don't want to name names because this never went live, and I don't want to, like, throw shade. I'm probably sure I have named names in the past. Whatever, it's fine. I still prefer to talk. Oh, okay. Ow. That's frustrating. Let's heal up twice. But yeah, so I was part of this, like, kind of big-ish show for at least a little bit. Alexander's Oboe. I do not know what that one does. But I thought it was rad. I thought it was really cool. And then it never went anywhere. I think it was just too much work. Or people just didn't have time for it, or who knows what. But it never went past the second session. Because we did Chivalry, then Left 4 Dead, and then we stopped. But it was fun while it lasted. And so I was on this Reddit thread a couple days ago about big YouTubers that have risen and fallen. And literally everyone was on the list except for me. Like, every single person that had been part of that show. And admittedly, a lot of them have switched over to, like, Twitch and whatnot. But it was a very weird and sobering thought. What if you don't know a lot of YouTubers? That's fair. I mean, truly, these are people that, like, hit their heyday 4 years ago, tops. Maybe even 6 to 8 years ago. Holy shit, I'm starting to feel old. Let's see. Yeah, they hit their heyday a long time ago, and, like, they really were, like... They had informal titles and everything because they were that big. Not PewDiePie big, but, like, close? Friggin' age is just a number. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't bother me too much. It was just a matter of, like, realizing there might be some people watching this who, like, weren't old enough to really pay attention to YouTube that might be watching this video. And that amuses me. Okay. But, you know, as kind of a, I'm not going to say a thought experiment for myself, but I will often specifically, damn it. I should have healed up more. I was going to try and get that chest and then go back. Well, we killed a lot of things, so that was a plus. Let's see. Assassin, Splunkette. Do we go for a Splunker? Let's go with that. Sights are good. I have a lot of money. Here's the question. Do I want to sack a lot of stat? No, that would be a terrible idea. I could sack a bunch of stats and try and chuck myself into try and get a bunch more gold, but I'd probably die sooner, so I don't think it's worth it. Oh, it is time for 30 push-ups. You are correct. Let me just figure out what I'm going to put all my stats into. I was putting it into crit, which doesn't seem like a terrible idea. Because all of my things benefit from crit. Alright, so we've maxed crit out. And then I'll put 2 into just raw damage. Alright, 60 push-ups. Well, I'm gonna do 30.